It is NGEN Radio, Artist Spotlight of the time. My name is Marcus from the show Marcus in the Morning, and we get a chance to get in depth, have like an in worship experience with some of our core artists and people of faith. And on the show this morning, Mogli The Iceburg. Good morning, sir.
Hey Marcus, thanks for having me on, man.
Hey, I was checking out your Instagram, and man, there's so much that I want to dive into about you. But for those people that doesn't know Mogli the Iceberg, quickly introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Man, I'm a believer. I'm an artist. I'm a producer. I'm part of a collective called Indie Tribe. We just put an album called Upper Hands, and it seems to be doing all right.
Man, I absolutely love that. Okay, so like I said, I was looking at your Instagram, and we'll definitely dive into Indie Tribe. But what I love first and foremost that you just said, man, first and foremost, you are a believer. At what point in your life did you come into the faith, or were you born into it? PK, what's your background?
Yeah, so my parents were both kind of first generation believers, coming from very passive kind of cultural Catholicism. So
Hmm.
they kind of I guess explored and found God for themselves in their early 20s. So I was raised with that influence, but I feel like I didn't really get to determine what I believed for myself until I was in college, and I was really, able to just like, this isn't just what my parents believe. I'm testing all these different ideas, encountering all these different ideas, seeing their fruits and merits, seeing how they actually play out in the consequences of a lifestyle, and kind of coming back around to being like, yeah, this is true.
Man, was it a because for this generation, it's usually a life experience when people go, you know what, I'm gonna walk this side. I wanna be of the faith based community. You said you first kind of picked it up in college. Was it an experience or something that happened that made you really turn toward the cross?
I think for me it was less one specific experience, and it was more finding out that um there were answers to a lot of questions that had evidence that seemed to stack in favor of biblical Christianity. Um, so I think because I was always like familiar with the ideas, but seeing that there were actual valid scientific and philosophical arguments kind of made me view everything and allow my heart to be receptive to faith in a way that had been very hardened throughout my childhood.
Yeah. Mogli the Iceberg inside of NGEN Radio, NGENradio.com. And you talked about the indie tribe. When did you first find out that music or hip hop, positive hip hop, was your thing?
Man, I think that I'm just such a music fan. Music has just always been in my DNA for as long as I can remember, and I think the progression of most people is like, you can only, when you're passionate about something, you can only just enjoy it for so long until you start figuring out, like, hey, I want to try to make my own music. There's a song in my head that is different than what I'm hearing, and I want to try to make that song that's like my song. I want to make that a reality. So honestly, I'm a lover of all music. Hip hop was the first thing I could rap before I could sing, so I started doing that first. And you know, I think part of what makes me unique as an artist is my desire to bring in non hip hop elements into hip hop, and constantly just like trying to make something new.
In a world where mainstream music is glorified and gets all of the attention and the big paydays and everything, you being a believer, when you decided to bring what was your when you decided to bring the faith into your love for hip hop, what was your original opinion about CHH or Christian hip hop?
Well, it's funny because originally, when I first started making music, I kind of considered myself just like a positive artist, because, and I think part of the reason was because I didn't see very many examples of believers just making really dope music. It seemed like there was always a compromise. But when I started to really take my faith seriously, I decided that I wasn't going to compromise in the direction of compromising my values for the sake of trying to make headway into music. I wasn't going to be somebody that I wasn't. So it's actually really funny because I think I remember making a conscious decision of just being like, you know what, I guess music is always just going to be a hobby for me, but at least I'll be able to sleep soundly. And that was right around the time that I was discovering like 116 and then like Reflection Music Group, Derek Minor, all of them. And shortly after, I met No Big Deal in college, and we were on the same wavelength. And ironically, when I gave down that ambition and decided in my heart it's cool if this never goes anywhere, that's when things actually started to moving in terms of my own career.
Yeah. Well, and let's fast forward to that moment when things actually started moving, and you start getting some success, or you get in the hip hop term, you start to get that buzz, and you meet No Big Deal, and you guys start talking Indie Tribe and a deal and collaborations. What kind of struggles happen after the success? Because I think a lot of people, we dream and we pray for that success, and then we think once we made it to the top, that it's all downhill from there. So what kind of struggles that Mogli occurred after that?
You know, I think that there's so many things, and we constantly have to remind ourselves of like the perspective of what we would have thought about like current situations 5 or 6 years ago, because I think like the battle of perspective can be pride and entitlement are like really, really crazy, you know. So you get used to something, and what used to be a blessing becomes a new normal. And then if anything from that normal starts to return to the old normal, you think that it's a punishment because you forgot about the privilege that you're living in, you know? So that's something we always got to remember right now, and we're always fighting to keep ourselves in check and, you know, stay thankful, stay just like joyous.
Yeah, man. Let's talk Indie Tribe, man. I've been scrolling the social media. Y'all got the concert, and I first heard the song 24K a few weeks ago, and I thought it was mad. I was just like, whoa, they're here. Indie Tribe is here, man. Let's talk about the group, the bond, and I know you was talking about networking, the importance of networking.
Yeah. So. When this iteration of Indie Tribe came, when me and Dylan added John Keith and Michael V, we all were just super hyper focused in what we wanted to create in terms of community, how we wanted to conduct ourselves in terms of a business, what type of statement we wanted to make in terms of like honestly very selflessly collaborating through our solo careers into something like that's a collective. For this album, man, we actually just we lived together for a week in an Airbnb with some of our best friends, some of our producers, videographers, and that moment, that act of just like really sharing all our space together, because most collaboration now is just through emails. It's just it's emails and iMessage, but it's different when you're playing Super Smash Brothers with somebody, you're praying with people. We have Bible studies every morning. You're seeing people when they get frustrated, when they're insecure, when they're trying to work through half-baked creative ideas before they're all polished and other people get to be brought in. Man, that period of living together and having that writing camp was just like super, super valuable for us, I think, to come away with the chemistry that made the album.
Man, Mogli The Iceburg on NGEN Radio, NGENradio.com. Describe your style of music for that person that's watching this interview and is like, yo, I'm going to go over to the next tab and YouTube this guy. Describe what they're going to get.
I think what you are going to get is a very diverse blend of sonic angst. That's the way I can put it. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah. And who were your, I have to ask everybody. Well, who are your influences? Because I love your sound, and I'm not going to describe it for them. They got to check it out themselves. But I love your sound, and yeah, who were your influences?
Man, I don't know if anybody can actually see me, but you can see me, Marcus. This is actually like my influence wall right behind me. So
Wow.
You got Under Oath right here. You got POD when they dropped the Satellite album. You got Switchfoot. You got Kurt Cobain, Linkin Park, Mac Miller.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you got Drake over there at the other end.
Yeah.
I've always been very influenced by heavy music, alternative music, but also just rappers too, man. Like Kanye, people that really just that take risks are my favorite type of artists.
I mean, and what I like about that is the transparency of being in CHH, that you can actually draw creativity or a spark from outside genres of music and then incorporate word and faith into it. Man, what has God been speaking to you about lately, though? In this new season for your life, coming out of the pandemic, 2021, 2022, and beyond?
Yeah, well, this is a very big season for me, man. I'm about to get married.
Hey.
So and John Keith and Indie Tribe is right. He's getting married like a couple weeks before me. So, man, like there's so much that comes with that, as well as all kind of coping with all of like what's going on with the record. I think the thing that God is really speaking to me is just like order of priorities, so there's like us being very intentional with rest and being intentional with making time for our families, and because like right now there's always something that can be done with music, but especially in this period where we're preparing to enter into like I'm preparing to enter into a new season of being a husband and having my own family, like prioritizing that is something that like I'm never gonna get another shot at. So that's where I'm at right now.
The importance of social media for you, bro. How often are you on it? How authentic are you on it? Do you show the government name side of you, or is it all Mogli and sales pitches?
Man, to be honest, I'm getting to a point where I just hate social media. But it is what it is. I love the fact that we have a direct chain to people that support us. But yeah, I mean, like I think everything, and I speak for all the other guys in Indie Tribe as well. Like there's not really a distinction between like our government selves and our artistic selves, and that's even how we incorporate faith. Like everything is just us. This is authenticity. That's like the freedom that we have in Christ. It's not like an obligation, and it's also not like we're not like a Christian artist by genre alone. It's like, no, we're just believers. This is who we are. This is we want that to be authentically known, and we're also passionate artists. We're also creative businessmen, and we're jokesters. We have fun and stuff too. So like, yeah, it's always all authentic all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Mogli The Iceburg, what is your favorite social media? You say you get to a point where you don't like it, but everybody has their favorite. When you first wake up in the morning and you do your devotion and you thank God for the day before, you grab your phone. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming it's an iPhone because you said iMessage earlier.
Yeah.
And what social media do you go to?
It's got to be Twitter, man, to be honest. Twitter is like the most toxic of all of them, but I think I enjoy it because it's like it's more based on like thoughts as opposed to just like a goofy video, that's an Instagram reel or whatever, like the content, for better or worse, that really tends to echo in Twitter are like just words and thoughts themselves. So that's my favorite.
Yeah. Anybody that tries to take faith or God out of your message, what's your message to them?
Out of my message or out of their message?
Out of your message. If people, you're too churchy or you're too wordy or you're too in the spirit or man, can you just rap like one of the influences of yours and you'll make it much farther? What is your message to that?
I just think that's corny. I think that's corny, and it doesn't matter, like if somebody if I were to hide what I believe in and the values that are like part of me, like that would be just as corny as, I don't know, like Bob Marley not being Jamaican.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and that's why you know, I feel like if anybody is really just being themselves, that's like all you can ask for in music, and yeah, so.
That's that. Keep it real. What is that one song of yours that really hit for you and opened your eyes to, yeah, this is a career?
I think for me, on a previous album of mine called Tumultu, actually, yeah, it was that album, and there was a song called Reinvest that was just about, honestly, just like hustle and stuff, but it got some really cool placements. The Rock actually used it promoting a show on TV, and then it was like, okay, like I can do this.
Yeah. Well, we look forward to seeing what's next from you, bro. I'm so glad you stopped by to talk to me on the morning show, stopping by NGEN Radio, supporting us, man. We'll continue to try to support you. Final thoughts, your last message to people watching this interview.
Tribe is on the move. The tribe is not done moving. Holy Smoke coming in just over a week. That's our festival down in Atlanta. It's going to be an annual thing. We're super excited about it. And man, Marcus, thank you so much for incorporating us into NGEN, man. Like this is it's a dream come true for us, and we're just so thankful for you guys.
Love it. Mogli The Iceburg. I'm not going to call you by your government. It's all good, though. Right here inside of NGEN Radio, NGENradio.com.